You issued a statement supporting the initial Russian sanctions against various individuals. You've also introduced a bipartisan bill involved with the Skripal situation in the UK. How do you feel about more Russian sanctions right now related to Syrian chemical weapons attacks?
I think that they're supported by and large in Congress and also among the American people. There's got to be a way to get the point across to Russia that we disapprove of their actions when they support somebody like Assad, who's gassing his own people, when they interfere with elections, when they go and kill people on foreign soil, as they did in the UK. There's got to be a way to punish them for that and to send a strong message. And so I'm disappointed that the president has backtracked on what Ambassador Haley indicated, which is that there would be stronger sanctions on Russia. But on the other hand, this is consistent with what we've seen in this administration, which is you'll get 2 or 3 or 4 different answers on any controversial topic, and we just saw it happen again. Yeah,
in fairness, Congressman, I'm not sure whether the president backtracked or whether actually Nikki Haley was a little bit out over her skis. But are you really taking issue with the Trump administration right now in its approach to Russia? Because we actually had the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, say today that actually that President Trump has been tougher on Russia than President Obama was.
I think that I'm glad that the president has taken the actions that he has in terms of the sanctions that have been accomplished and the legislation that was passed last year. But I also think that we need to go further. And as you indicated, I filed bipartisan legislation with Congressman Turner, a Republican from Ohio, to do just that. It would sanction not only anybody that was involved in the Skripal attack, but also several Russian financial institutions, and would start to limit the purchasing of Russian debt by Americans.
State Secretary nominee Mike Pompeo has also been harsher on Russia than President Trump, yet he's facing some challenges in his Senate confirmation. Do you expect him to come through?
That's an interesting question. As you all know, the Senate is very evenly split between the two parties, and senators from both parties have expressed concerns about Mike Pompeo's track record and also his prospect for the required independence from any kind of political influence. And so, I think that whatever happens, obviously it's going to be very close. It wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't quite make it there.
And if he doesn't quite make it there, then who could take his place? Can you think of a replacement? And in the meantime, who do we listen to when it comes to foreign policy?
Well, your second question is a question I think that the world has been asking since President Trump took office, which is who reliably speaks for the president. You're right that there are already major pieces of the infrastructure for diplomacy that are missing at the State Department, including a confirmed Secretary of State. To your first question, who could be nominated after that? That's a great question. And I'm sure that the president is probably not going to take my advice on who else he should nominate, but we'll see what happens with Mike Pompeo's nomination.
Congressman, as you know, there are those strikes, missile strikes against Syria late Friday night into Saturday morning, and you've said that you're in favor of those strikes. But there is the issue about what role, if any, Congress should play in that sort of attack. Is there any prospect of bipartisan support for really Congress reinserting itself into the war powers? Because, frankly, this has been going on for some time.
You're right, and it's happened on both kinds of administrations, Republicans and Democrats. My point is that the American people should not have 535 spectators when it comes to a matter of conflict like this, armed conflict or war, that Congress needs to get off the sidelines and have an active role, that the president should demand that, and the American people should demand that. I was a proponent in 2013 of coming up with a new AUMF. That was my first year in Congress. That the Congress needs to step up. I know it's a tough vote, because if you vote yes on something and things go downhill a few years later, then your name is attached to it. People learn that. Many people learned that the hard way with Iraq. But these are the things that we need to do as a Congress that has a big role to play in foreign policy.
So, Congressman, you don't have to wait for the White House to come up with a bill here. Congress could enact its own legislation, specifically right now with respect to Syria, and say there is attack authorized in these situations and not in those. Is there any sentiment in Congress? Is there any likelihood that could actually get done this Congress?
It's something, again, I think that should be pursued. If you ask me the likelihood of that happening, I haven't seen overwhelming momentum for it to occur.